What is going on, everybody? We are back for another episode of the CC Podcast. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this is the 20th episode of the CC Podcast. We hit another milestone today, and we are excited about it. We are back with our sponsorship, Red Bull, me repping sugar-free, Jacob repping sugar-full, and we are out here. So we're excited. My name is Mike Sexton. I'm the junior high pastor at Bethany Church. And this is my main man, my main squeeze, Jacob Allen Nielsen, the high school pastor at Bethany Church as well. What's going on, my friend?
What's going on, everybody? I'm excited to be here once again with you guys. We're out here. We're shaking and baking. We're allocating our cash flow to the banks of the United States of America, baby. What's up with that allocating funds? You know what I'm saying, boy?
I don't like that.
You don't like to allocate your funds?
I'm just out here trying to spend my funds on bullies. You know what I mean?
Ooh, I'm trying to spend my cash on anything I could get my hands on.
Stupid. All right, so we are back for another episode. As you know, or should know at this point, or maybe you're new and you don't know this, we talk about something that is a little bit more playful, a little bit more lighthearted.
Yeah.
Dude, don't laugh at me.
Yeah,
you suck.
Playful.
You suck. And then we talk about something a little bit heavier, a little bit more heavy. I just said
thought-provoking.
Thought-provoking. I don't normally do this part. I don't know why I took over this part. But it's all good. Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about... What are we going to be talking about, Jacob?
Okay, we got two different topics. The first one is going to be summer topics, or summer things that we like to do.
Summer topics, yeah.
Summer topics. What do you like to do in the summer? What are your favorite summer activities, maybe is probably the best way to say it. And then the second one is going to be how the world views Christians, our perceptions of that, being high school pastors. What does that look like? Is that something we can change, and how do we kind of go about changing that perception?
Yeah.
That could be negative, could be positive.
Cool.
And so that's kind of the topics for today. So I'm excited. So let's go ahead and get into favorite summer activities.
Come on.
You know what I mean?
What do you remember from your childhood? Like, what's your best childhood summer activity? I'm not talking trip that you took. I'm talking like, this is something that you always did with the boys or with your family.
I think it was bike rides at to the beach.
Okay.
Because we lived, I lived off of Los Cayos Diagonal and Carson Street, so kind of by the Long Beach Town Center. And if I remember, it was a 3-mile bike ride to the beach and 3 miles back.
Yeah.
But like we would go early in the morning, or not early, maybe around like 10 or whatever, ride our bikes to the beach, hang out, you know what I mean? Like get Slurpees at 7-Eleven, like cruise around Seal Beach area, then come back home. Like, and that was like it was like a perfect day. It was like 10 o'clock to like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Then you're home, hungry for dinner.
Yeah.
Your son kissed, you know what I mean? Maybe
What
a little
age?
burnt on the cheeks.
What age you talking?
That was probably late junior high, early high school, probably.
Okay.
It probably stopped doing that around my sophomore year.
Yeah.
When my friends started to drive.
For sure.
So probably around that time. But that was like the perfect summer day when I think
That's
about it.
so good.
What about you?
I love that. I think about junior high specifically. Me and my buddy, we used to ride our bikes all the time, you know what I mean? We rode our Huffy bikes.
Oh.
You know, we go off jumps
Were you a
and stuff
BMX
like
boy?
that. Yeah, trying to be a BMX boy.
Oh, I was a beach cruiser guy.
Yeah, so we lived in a cul-de-sac, actually, and so our driveways were like slanted, so like they went up to the house, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Not too big, not too steep or anything like
yeah.
that. But we would put a janky ramp at the bottom where we'd like take
a plastic one? Like
no,
the
like
crappy?
a 2x4 on some cinder blocks, bro.
My gosh.
Like not safe at all. And we would
Wait, hold on. It's got to be like plywood, you're saying. Because 2x4s on cinder blocks?
Yeah.
Like that thin?
Yeah, it was thin.
Stop.
Yeah.
That's so dangerous.
Sometimes we'd put I think we'd put 2 together. So we'd put 2 in the same spot, and we would I don't know if we nailed them together or something like that, but that's what we do. Super janky.
That's so chaotic.
So that would we do, and we'd ramp it. So it'd be like cinder block, right? And then you put it on top, and then it'd be angled down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so you bust down the driveway as hard as you can, and you hit the jump, and you go into the cul-de-sac, and you That was sick.
nuts.
I would do that for hours on end.
Dude, that is freaking nuts.
Those
dude.
are my summer days.
That's
Also,
so
I'd do the
good.
trampoline with the sprinkler underneath.
Oh my gosh!
The
What
best
a
thing.
great time that was.
It's the best thing ever. And I would roll in during the summer only.
Yeah.
We had like the neighborhood basketball hoop. You know what I mean?
Right.
We'd roll it into my backyard, put it over the net and we would just have dunk contests
Sick.
in the summer.
Just pretending like you're freaking Tracy McGrady out there. You're
Come
like you're Vince
on,
Carter.
Vince Carter.
You know what I mean? The late great Kobe Bryant.
Don't sleep on him.
Dude, that's so good. I forgot, dude. You're so right. That is such a perfect summer activity because a kid, one of your friends probably has a trampoline.
100%. And they have a sprinkler because they
throw-
water their grass.
You just throw a dang sprinkle underneath that thing. You got an afternoon full of fun. Slipping and sliding, bodies rolling. One of my favorite like trampoline games was Crack the Egg.
Come on.
Dude, you played that? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Dude, okay, so to explain to the people that are listening, just in case you don't know what Crack the Egg is.
If you don't know what it is, not friends.
You didn't have a childhood.
Yep.
You
Go back. Try again.
You grew up in Russia, in Soviet Russia, and ate bricks for dinner, and that was it.
What does that mean?
And you sat and stared at a wall for fun.
That's
I
what
don't
they
know.
do. That's what they do.
That's what I figure Russians do. Anyway, so Crack the Egg is you get a trampoline. You get one person to be the egg.
Yep.
And they're usually sitting crisscross applesauce.
Yep.
With their, usually they have their arms wrapped around their legs
Yep.
to try to hold them nice and tight. And so the point. Oh my gosh, the point of the game. I should have stroked. The point remixed it. Okay, so the point of the game is to get your friends to let go of one of their appendages.
Yep.
So
Yep.
basically, to crack the egg, aka their arms can't hold on any longer, legs fly out of the crisscross, whatever that is. They basically lose. Then you nominate somebody else. And you do that by like bouncing them. You get them on the double hop where you push down really quick right before they launch and they launch up super scary. And I feel like most times I was like about to crack was the times I thought I was going to fly off of the trampoline.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It was never the force of the hit. It was like,
sure.
oh crap, I'm going to fly off. I need to catch myself before I commit or before my friends commit a homicide.
Yeah.
So those so good, dude. I love Crack the Egg.
I love that. That's so good.
I love that. Dude,
We also, dude, another trampoline story.
Let's hear
This
it.
isn't summer, but this is something I did in middle school, and
Sure.
I'm trying to get my mom to find this stupid video. But my mom, myself and my best friend at the time, his name was Brennan, we were in 7th grade, and we thought it'd be fun to go on the trampoline, but duct tape our whole body. So we duct taped our bodies completely straight. Like we couldn't bend our legs. We couldn't move our arms, and we like had to hop out. My mom literally helped us duct tape ourselves completely. And then we got on the trampoline and we're laying flat, but obviously you can't bend anything, so you can't get up.
you
It
can't
took
jump.
15 minutes to get up, but then we were just like trying to jump, and you would just, dude, you got wrecked. It was the worst thing ever, but it was so much fun.
What are you guys doing out there in Washington?
Dude, I
You're out
don't know.
there
Just trying to have a
keeping
good-
yourself down and jumping off 2x4s like a psycho, dude. You don't have basic ramps out there?
No, dude, we ain't got money for that. We got a couple cinder blocks in the backyard and some wood.
Dude, that's so ridiculous. Oh my gosh. And then summer, like so many fun like things. Like 4th of July, obviously, is in summer. And so my stepmom lived in Lakewood. I forgot what street it is.
Yeah.
But basically they lived in like a cul-de-sac-ish type neighborhood. And so they would like have a block party.
Yeah.
So they would call the city, they would shut down the block basically. So they put up little like fence things. And they had an epic, like the biggest freaking water balloon fight I've ever been a part of. So each house, like everybody participates. Every house on the block, there's like 15 different houses. And then it's one street versus the other side of the street. And each house is filling up like 1,000 to like 1,500 water balloons each.
Dang.
And like, I kid you not, it's like throwing water balloons in this war for like 20 minutes straight.
Which
It's
never
like-
happens. Water balloon fights never last as long
It's
as they
like
should.
a minute, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It's the longest thing. It's like people are getting tired because people are getting pegged. People's shoulders are getting destroyed because they're throwing for so long. Especially nobody's warming up before a water balloon fight.
Yeah, you don't warm up for
And
that.
so, and everybody plays. It's like old people, middle-aged people,
I love that.
kids, children.
I love
so
it.
like children are getting decked. They're crying.
Come
'cause-
on.
And half the time you're not even aiming. You
Yeah.
see a big line of people, you're just throwing as hard as you can.
Yeah.
and I wasn't lobbing, you know what I
No,
mean?
I'm trying to
I
hit him
wasn't
in the
lob.
face.
I
Not in the face,
I'm
but
line drives into
Yeah.
people's domes and chest. It's the funniest thing to watch them just
so
get
funny.
wrecked. But yeah, it was like 15, 20 minutes straight of just probably that's dramatic. It's probably like 5 to 10 minutes, but it
Yeah.
feels like 15 to 20 because you're just straight
For
launching.
sure.
So good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
I don't know. And then I think about like summer. I think about like, even now, like I think a good pool party / barbecue
Yeah.
is where I want to be.
Yep.
I want to be posted up. I want a barbecued hot dog in one hand.
Yep.
I want a frosty cold beverage in the other. And I want to get tan as a potato. My belly and my chest is out there in the open air, getting kissed by the ocean air. And I get to dive in the pool every once in a while just to get a quick
Cool off.
Don't
get
the
too hot and
sweat.
sweaty.
Yeah, get the sweat off.
Put the sweat in the pool. and get out.
Sweat in the pool. Ooh, so good. And then you just relax. And then
Are you a
maybe
pool peer?
Dude, 100%. Who is it?
I'm not in certain scenarios. If I'm in a public pool, 100%. I'm peeing in the
Wait,
pool.
what? So what?
Like if someone's gonna invite me over to their house for like a pool party, I'm not peeing in their pool.
Oh, dude, I'm disrespectful. I'm peeing in everyone's pool. I'm peeing in jacuzzis.
It doesn't surprise me. Jacuzzis, because it's so warm, sometimes I'm like, it depends on my mood that day.
But should it matter?
Just
Depending
how I
on how
feel.
warm.
Just how
Dude,
I feel.
it doesn't matter, dude. Give me in a body of water and I'm peeing in it. And then they had like that myth thing, or I
That
don't
like
know
it changed colors.
There's no way.
There's
People
not a
actually
thing.
have that.
No, there's not a chemical. I've looked it up.
Okay, so people were fibbing for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Because that was always the scary thing is like you're gonna go to some like fancy hotel pool.
Yeah.
And you're gonna piss and it's gonna be purple all around, or pee. Sorry, piss just sounds.
Is that a cuss word?
Sorry, if you don't like the word piss, it just sounds so aggressive when I said it too.
Yeah.
So I want to say sorry to anybody that feels offended by that word. But so yeah, you get scared because I'm like I'm gonna pee and there's gonna be a purple cloud around me.
Yep.
And I don't want to
And
be.
everyone's gonna be
I
like,
don't want to be picked
he
up.
peed.
So maybe there was a couple year stint where I was like, I actually believe that was real.
Yeah.
And maybe at any hotel I went to swim in,
Yeah.
I probably didn't pee in there.
For sure.
But like private houses, for sure, all day long.
Yeah, he's peeing in your pool, Kellers.
Oh, for sure, Kellers. I've definitely peed in your pool and your jacuzzi. Probably with like when we were probably loaded up. There was 10 of us in their small little jacuzzi
Ew.
with like Tim Springer.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah, just peed all over them.
Ew.
Okay,
don't like
that's too much. Anyways, but yeah,
That's so funny.
What about up in Washington? Was there like a fair? What did you guys do up there in summer?
So the fair's in the fall.
Fairs in the fall.
But the fair is actually really dope. The Puyallup Fair is really cool. I've told you about it. We have a fair day at the beginning of the fall, like the second week of school,
So cool.
where every school in the district, you go to school and you get out at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. And really the only reason why you go is to get your free ticket to go to the fair. And then all of the schools from the city are there. And it's just a super fun day.
Gotcha.
But in the summer, obviously, Washington, I don't live by the ocean. There is ocean in Washington, but it's not like here. You don't really go swim in it.
Yeah.
And it's like 3 hours from where I live anyways. But there's lakes, so you hang out at the lakes. There's a lake probably 20, 30 minutes from my place called Lake Taps. It's a really, really awesome lake. There's an area with a rope swing that I used to go to in high school all the time.
Cool.
That's super, super cool. It's like an offshoot from the lake that no boats go down or anything like that. And it's amazing. It's an amazing time. We would just load up my Suburban with all my friends.
I love that.
We'd roll over there, and we would just jump off the rope swing all day long.
Sounds like a young country bumpkin out there in the water, the local watering hole.
I don't know.
There, just,
I feel like you'd be surprised. You have this image of like how country where I grew up is, and it's just like not.
I'm just thinking slack jawed. Everybody's got a nice draw like this. They talk
It's not
slow.
the South. It's like so far north.
I don't know, dude. I've never been there. I can't say for sure. I've never been there. I've
need to
never
go.
pictured it happen, dude.
You need to go.
Anyways, people say kombucha, not kombucha. Or I even said it right. People say kombucha and not kombucha. You know?
You're dumb.
Anyways, so as you know, we got the OC fair here locally
Yeah.
that's popping off in the summer. So it's always fun to go to. You know, you get a bunch of friends, you eat a bunch of fried food, you watch some people get hypnotized, maybe go on the zipper a couple times.
Have you ever been hypnotized?
I have never been in the I've watched the show. I've never been a part of.
Do you try to do it in the crowd? Like, do you try to get hypnotized in the crowd?
No, do you?
Yeah,
Did you
every
get-
time. I've been hypnotized before. Like, I have a
Really?
video of it in high school.
No way.
Yeah, in high school. It was
That's
a weird
hilarious.
experience. It was super cool. I
So-
totally knew what I was doing the whole time, but I just didn't care. I just did it.
Okay. Was there like a sense, like, was there like like an inhibition or what am I trying to say? Was there like a looseness to how you were feeling? Did it put you in a daze? Like, what do you
I just
feel
felt
like?
extremely relaxed.
Okay.
I felt extremely relaxed.
Okay.
It's interesting. I've talked to other people that have been hypnotized, and were like, they don't even remember what it was like. So there's like, you can go deeper into
There's
it
levels.
and not. And so, like, some people, their body, like, they just relax easier. And so they go super and they don't even remember what they did.
Yeah.
But when I did it, I completely knew what I was doing. I totally remember it. I was a girl from my high school. I think her name is Kelsey Myers is who it was.
Okay.
Was next to me, like, during it. Like, I had to do random stuff. Like, I had to act like the person next to me smelled absolutely terrible. And then I had to act like they smelled super good. So I was, like, in this dude's armpit, like, smelling his armpit.
Ew.
It was super weird. But, like, I knew what I was doing the whole time. I heard what he told me to do, and I just did it when he told me to do it. It was weird.
So weird.
Yeah.
Like the power of suggestion. Also, like, so when they fall asleep, were you actually falling asleep or were you just closing your eyes?
You're awake. You're just like, you're
just
out.
slumped.
You're just out. Like, there's
weird.
I'll show you at some point, but in the video, I'm literally like bent over, like straight in front of myself, like all the way down. My arm is to the ground and like completely between my legs.
So strange.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. If it sounded really bad during there, it's because I was showing him, and so the microphone wasn't on my face.
No, yeah, but I always like some people I'm skeptical. Some people I'm like, they're for sure done, dude. They're doing their thing right now.
Yeah, but now I try to do it in the crowd because I don't want to be the person that's like, oh, call me. I don't want to be an idiot.
Right.
But a lot of times there won't be enough people that get hypnotized in the show when they put them up, and so if people in the crowd are hypnotized,
knocked out.
they'll call you up.
And
so I'll do it, but then my wife, every single time, she like will laugh or something and it'll wake me up or it'll like get me out of that state. And so then I can't do it.
What a jerk.
I know, it's mean.
Selfish.
It's so mean.
Oh, it's very mean.
It is very mean.
Oh my gosh, dude. I love a summertime. Obviously this summer is very discombobulated.
Yep.
With all the things that are going on, but hopefully that you guys can find some fun activities that you guys are doing. All right, so we got our next topic we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about how Christians are viewed today, the perception of like the world, like how the rest of the world kind of views Christians, and what that looks like. What that looks like for us as Christians. How do we kind of diminish the perception that the world has, or how do we kind of break that up a little bit? And what does that look like? So when you think about, put yourself in a non-Christian mindset, and how would you view Christians today in a negative light?
Yeah. I think when I think of that, I think we're in a place in our culture, at least in America, where whatever works for you is kind of the mindset. And so like there's acceptance of pretty much every view, but it's none of them are by, I think, general culture or the world thought of as like one of them is the actual truth. Like it's like live your truth, get said, or whatever. Those sorts of things. I was joking about it today that I was living my truth or whatever. But I think that's kind of the connotation of like, I don't think it's a huge like negative look, which I could get into as like that's a problem of us as the church is like we're not doing a good job of actually living out what it looks like to be a Christian because Christ says you're going to suffer. Like we were just listening to that sermon from Matt Chandler, and he goes, it's a new idea that Christians aren't going to suffer or shouldn't suffer or don't deserve to suffer because of their beliefs. And so for me, I think currently in our culture in America, Southern California, I don't think it's necessarily looked down on if you go to church, believe in Jesus, those sorts of things. But I think that is because we haven't fully committed to or started yet living out what it looks like to be a Christian in every single aspect of our lives, rather than just what I do on Sunday, or it's my personal relationship with Jesus, but it doesn't affect everything out there,
everybody,
you know? And so that's kind of my thought is I don't think it's looked at as negative necessarily. But I don't know if I don't know if we as Christ followers even have done a really good job of being like, this is the truth for everyone. Like this isn't just something that works for me. It's the truth for everybody.
Yeah.
What are your initial kind of thoughts?
Yeah, I think when I think about, non-Christians, how would they perceive us? I think the easiest one to kind of pick out would be like they're judgmental or they're hypocritical.
Yep.
Right. Like I think there's this perception of, we are this one type of way that maybe is like a moralistic kind of like holier than thou, kind of put myself up here, while then like there's, normal people down here. There might be drinking, whatever, having sex, on, first date sex, one night stands. Oh my gosh. They're having one night. I can't speak, dude. They're having one night stands, doing all these things where it's like, whatever. And as Christians, we're basically like just being judgmental and pretending like we're better than them because of X, Y, and Z, because we follow like a moral or we have a moral compass.
Yeah.
That might be a little bit shifted.
Yeah.
And so I think that's hard, and I think that's hard to break. And I think there's a lot of understanding that we don't need to be judgmental towards people.
Yeah.
Like, we have we have the Bible that we can basically read, understand, know, follow that, and that should be our guide. While the rest of the world, they don't necessarily believe in that. They don't believe in sex waiting for sex until marriage, or drinking, or X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And so they think like, okay, well, whatever. Just basically, so I think that's really difficult, and I think that's hard.
Yeah.
And I think that's how a lot of non-Christians would view just Christians in general.
Yeah.
And, I think we've done a bad job. I think the reason that is because we are that way sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? Like we have gotten to that place where we haven't told people about the love of Jesus, and we talk about like what we, do and why, and not the why we do it.
Yeah.
So I think that's hard.
Yeah, I like that. I think what we're kind of getting to, I'm losing my train of thought, is that we have a tendency to think that because we know this is the truth,
Right.
like we know that Jesus came, we know that he died, we know that we're all sinful.
Yeah.
We like lead with that all the time,
Right.
and like expecting people to live out of the same framework or the same lens that we live out of when they don't even believe it to be true.
Right.
And so it's like, I think that's where we get that, like, we get a bad rap because us as Christ followers at times, we're like, how can they be doing that? And it's like, well, they're not operating out of the same frame of mind of you, the same belief system, all of those sorts of things. But then at the same time, we have to balance, like, the only reason why we need a savior is because we're sinful.
Right.
So it's like, how do we point out someone's sinfulness and be like, hey, you need Jesus.
Yeah.
But at the same time, carry like, we're not being judgmental of the way that they're living because we can't expect them to live how we're living because they don't believe what we believe.
Right.
It's like, how do we try to balance that so we don't come across as hypocritical or judgmental or those sorts of things, but still be able to share the truth of the gospel with people?
Yeah, that's so true. And I think, for us as Christians, like we just need to continue just showing people the love that Christ has shown us. Like,
For sure.
We have sinned so much against God in obviously our own unique and different ways.
Yeah.
And like Jesus continues to forgive us. And like we want to sit there and pretend like we're on some fancy pedestal where I'm like,
sure.
I'm perfectly clean. I have Jesus on my side.
Yeah.
Look at you and your sinful ways running
Yeah.
around with, the devil and doing whatever his wants
Yeah.
and desires are for your life. And
Yeah.
like, it's just not the reality. Like that's
Yeah.
not, unfortunately, like I am not on a pedestal. I am unfortunately I'm a sinner, and
Yeah.
I will continue to sin and
Yeah.
continue to be broken. And God doesn't view me any less than somebody who doesn't know who Jesus is.
Yeah.
In that way, and so wanting other people to see that, to realize that, and to follow after the characteristic of Jesus, and not the moralism that sometimes can follow Christianity in general.
Yeah.
So.
I think that's so good. When I think of this, I think, and it just came to me of like, we know we're sinners, right? So us as Christ followers, we know that we're sinful.
Yeah.
We know that we're broken, but I've never heard the Christian when sharing about their brokenness, share about their current brokenness. They share like, this is where I was, this is where I am now, and we act like it's all together. And I think that's where that hypocritical piece kind of comes in. Is like, we say we're sinful, we say we're broken, yet we're not willing to share that brokenness with you. And I just wonder what that perception would be if we're like, hey, yeah, this is where I was. This is what Jesus has done for me. This is the hope that I've experienced. This is the freedom that I've experienced from those things that I previously struggled with, the brokenness, the loneliness, all of that kind of stuff. But like, these are the things I still wrestle with, and this is how he helps me in that. And I just wonder what that perception would be if we were a little bit more transparent within the church, but also outside of the church.
Outside of the church, yeah. And I think that perception even starts getting built inside of the church, right? Is like, how are you doing today? Or how are you doing this week? And you might have had a really crappy week, and it might have been really rough. But you go to church and you want it to look like you have everything together. So you're like, I'm good. Yeah, praise Jesus, right? And then like kind of give them one of those.
Or my living the dream.
And it's like, there's a reality, like your world can be crashing all around you, and you don't want to share that thing because it's scary and hard and difficult, and maybe you feel like somebody would perceive you as, oh, they're doing bad because they probably suck. But that's not the reality. Is like, there just needs to be a more, like, Christians and just people in general need to be more open and sharing about their faults and their sin, and their mistrials and all those different things that come with just life, because things aren't always going to be perfect. Things are going to be hard and difficult, and that's good. Like, that's good that God has us in those situations, because then there's a realization that we can't do it alone, that we need a Savior, that we need Jesus, because we can't do it on our own merits. Like, we need a Savior, and that's where Jesus comes in. That's why God made it that way. For us to be able to see that.
I heard a pastor, I don't remember who it was at some point, but he was talking about, like, if we take away like our sinfulness from the gospel, then like people will hear our message and be like, sick, I'm glad that works for you, but like, I have no need of a Savior. Like, everything for me seems good right now. And so it's like, how... And I think we're getting off of what we originally wanted to talk about, but like, how do we communicate? Like, how do you communicate that to a junior high student or a high school student that feels like everything's together, everything's going good, or at least worldly wise? You know what I mean? How do you point out, like, no, there's more. There's a brokenness that you're experiencing. And there's hope for that. Like, how do you share that with them when there's no back? Like, no one's ever told them that things are broken. You know what I mean? Besides their own experience of just how the world is. Like, how do you get to the point where it's like, no, Jesus is the answer to the brokenness you're experiencing? How do you open up that conversation with a friend, coworker, whatever?
That's really true. I was even thinking, like, as we talk about, how are we viewed by non-Christians and people that don't know who Jesus, or people that don't know who Jesus is. It's like, I view the church as like not caring about any sort of social issues, right? Like, most of the time, obviously, Bethany is doing better. I think some churches are doing better with everything that's been going on right now. Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, and the other people that have been obviously affected by what's been going on. But, in the past, it's like the church used to stand for those things. Once again, we're listening to a Matt Chandler video, because we've been on that guy's, pastoral. We've been on a pastoral kick, I guess, listening to that guy. And he was just sharing, like, the church was like leading those rallies in the civil rights movement. And, like, we kind of fell off from that. I think, we get so wrapped up in, like, the potential political side of what it could be, right? That we get so wrapped up in, like, okay, we can't participate because we don't want to be viewed as whatever. And so we need to stand back. And that's not the reality of it. It's not just a political issue, or it's not a political issue. It's a social and it's a people issue. It's a Jesus issue. Like, we need to be able to stand up for people. And, now I think Christians are doing a better job of being able to post in their support of the Black Lives Matter movement and different things like that. I think there was a hesitation there prior, because it's like, you're going to be viewed as, probably this leftist crazy person if you, like, stand up for those things because of, like, a potential political issue, which is just frustrating and annoying. Because we both find ourselves somewhere in the middle like not really totally sure where I land all the time, but
yeah.
I don't know, somewhere in the middle. And so like we need to be that people group that, is there in the middle ground and offering peace in both ends.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Christians just do a bad job at that.
Yeah. And just how can we say that Jesus is the hope of the world if we're not dealing with the things that are causing pain and suffering right now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it just kind of takes away from what we're saying to be true about who Jesus is. Like if he really cares, if he really loves me, if he really died for me, why am I experiencing the world this way? And we have to have answers for those things.
Right.
And if we choose to just stay silent, we're missing the boat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So there's like a Penn and Teller, those like random magicians.
Yep.
I don't remember the exact quote, but basically what he's one of that fancy magician dudes. He's just sharing how like,
because he's an atheist.
He's an atheist.
Yep.
He's an outspoken atheist, and he talks about like how Christians aren't willing to share something that is so near and dear to their heart that they think like if we really think that a group of people is going to hell, going to suffer in separation with Christ or separation with God forever, like why aren't we willing to step up and to say something, right? Like and to share about the gospel and share about the truth and everything that's going on, like that we believe that is going to happen. Like we should be actively sharing that thing or sharing that. And I feel like that is a perception non-Christians have of us is like we think we have this thing, this special thing, this amazing eternal salvation with God, which we do. And why aren't they sharing it?
Yeah.
Right? Like, why don't they? Okay, so you're a Christian.
Yep.
You post up a Bible verse on your Instagram, your bio, and then I don't see anything else about you trying to do anything to win me over for Christ.
Yep.
Like anything.
Yeah.
And then it creates this thing of like, okay, I don't need that.
Yeah.
They don't even believe it enough.
Yep.
Right? Like that's the perception is like they don't even believe it enough to be able to share if they really think there's a separation that's going to happen after we die.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm like, dang, dude, if I was a non-Christian and I saw a bunch of people that like had a bunch of Bible verses but never talked to me about Jesus, and they believe that at the end of, their life, there's going to be this eternal separation, like, why aren't they sharing that?
Yeah.
And so, like, for me, that's got to be a perception in some people's minds of, like, they're not even willing to share that.
Yeah.
So it can't be that good.
Yeah.
Like, why do I want that? Why do I need that?
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and he kind of makes the point, too, in that same conversation of, like, it's like the doctor that has the cure to cancer but won't share it.
Right.
It's like, it's cruel.
Yeah.
It's absolutely cruel.
Yeah.
And I even think I was talking to, with that discipleship training with Puck, and he was like, he asked myself, Jeff, and Tim, and he was like, since you guys have become Christ followers, how many people in your life have shared the gospel with you? And you've had to say, oh, I already believe in Jesus.
Yeah.
I can't think of a single time.
Right.
And it's just like, interesting.
Yeah.
Like that's so, he's like, I've had other people try to, Mormonism.
Right.
I've had Jehovah's Witnesses come up to me. I've had other religions come up to me, whatever, and try to share what they believe. But why has a Christian never came up to me and shared it?
Right.
It's like, that sucks.
Yeah.
Like we're doing a bad job.
Yeah. And so like, and maybe my viewpoint on that is tilted because I am a Christian.
Yeah.
And like, I think Penn or whoever the guy was is kind of like an outspoken atheist. So he like really thinks about those things. And maybe the non-Christian doesn't think about those things as much as maybe me or, once again, an outspoken atheist. And so for me, like when I hear stuff like that, I wanted to make it on, students' minds of like, okay, like we're out here, you're a Christian, you say you're a Christian, but nothing else is going on outside of, the random post or maybe a prayer request here and there. And so what does that look like for you to actually be sold out for Jesus, to want to be able to share to your friends the gospel, you know, and really check in their hearts. Like, do you believe this, or is this something you kind of, and this is forever the conversation in youth ministry, is like, is this your parents' faith or is this like kind of your faith?
Yeah.
So I think that is continually the conversation. And it's hard. Like I want to be better personally of being a better light for Jesus. Like, there's tons of times where, I've wanted to say something and haven't, or I've acted a certain way that isn't Christ-like, in that there's moments of regret, and I really truly want to do better. Yeah, I think there's just a continual understanding as us as Christians need to be willing to crush those perceptions that people have.
Yeah.
You know, be the person that's not judgmental.
Yep.
Don't be the hypocritical person. Like, understand that they are a fallen and sinful person as well, just as you are, and make sure you're checking your heart and all those things. So that's kind of like, to end it, more or less, is what I'm thinking for myself. What about you?
Yeah, I think it's just I've been challenged in this season of going through that discipleship training that I've been going through. I've been going through discipleship training with some people, and just how to share the gospel in simple ways and those sorts of things, and how to pray for people and like pray that God would open up opportunities to have those conversations. And I think all I've realized during this time is like I do a bad job of it. Like I do a bad job of sharing my faith. Like you were sharing on Sunday, like I'm a pastor. I talk about my faith a lot on a daily basis for work, but like how often do I do it outside with my friends and stuff like that? And so that's where I've been challenged, and I've been trying to work. Isn't necessarily going to go share the gospel with the person that I meet at the grocery store. That's not what I've been working on, although God can use that. And I think we should be doing things like that and opening up those conversations. But I've been trying to be intentional to have more spiritual conversations with my friends that I know don't know Jesus. Of just being like, trying to get into those conversations because I've avoided them at times. I'm just like, I don't want to make them uncomfortable. We have years of relational capital, and I know they wouldn't be mad if I did it, but I don't want them to feel weird because I know they don't believe it, whatever. And just like trying to like get rid of that framework of thinking and not being afraid of being like, this is who I am. Like, this is actually what I believe. And like, I know that to be true, but the people pleaser in me is like, I don't want him to be offended. I just want, like, our friendship is good. You know what I mean? But if I believe what I say I believe, then I need to be having those conversations. So
I was just thinking, like, as you're speaking, I think the ultimate action of showing somebody that you love and care for them, if they're a non-believer, is sharing the gospel with them. And that, I think that puts a lot of like my relationships in perspective of like, if I truly care for the people that are around me, I would be willing to share the thing that would ultimately separate them from me forever. Which is hard, which is difficult. And those are the things that, like, as Christians, we have to wrestle with and have to be thoughtful and mindful of. So, I hope this was helpful to you. And as, we continue doing podcasts and having these conversations, like, if students or leaders, you feel convicted or you feel at a place where you want to talk about this more than just listening to this on a podcast, because this conversation doesn't end here. Sharing the gospel doesn't stop with, listening to one podcast and us sharing our hearts on it. But like, myself and Mike would love for you to be able to hit us up and to be able to have these conversations more and to share our wants and desires for ourselves too, once again, because we're not perfect at it.
We're wrestling with this. Like, as we're talking about it, we're like going, like, racking our brains and hearts of like, man, we don't do this as well as we should.
So you can hit us up, Jacob at Bethany. I'll go a little bit slower. Jacob at Bethany LB, as in Long Beach, .org. Then we got Mike at Bethany LB.org. Email us if you have our numbers. Call us. Hit us up on Instagram. Wherever else you want to connect with us, we would love to be able to have this conversation more. As always, we love you all. We miss you guys. Peace.